Meanwhile, the Senate passed a $15.3 billion aid package for Harvey victims yesterday. The House will vote on that disaster relief funding today. This coming after President Trump negotiated the deal with Democrats, which included extending the debt limit, funding the government for 3 months. House Speaker Paul Ryan and billionaire entrepreneur Mark Cuban weighed in on President Trump's negotiation yesterday.
No, I wasn't furious. I have a belief on debt issues that we should, for the credit markets, have longevity on these things. But I completely understand why he was doing what he was doing and why his motivation is we've got hurricane relief. Let's make it bipartisan. And let's clear the decks so we can focus on our shared agenda like tax reform.
It's pure classic Donald Trump. I thought it was really smart. You know, the thing about being a salesperson like President Trump is you want to keep deals alive. The biggest fear a salesperson has is that a deal would die. And so working with somebody, even if it's only for a short term, even if it's with the Democrats, keeps the deal alive.
Joining us right now, Wisconsin Congressman Sean Duffy to talk more about that. Congressman Duffy, your take on this?
Listen, I thought it was a bad deal, Maria. Here's what the president did. He thinks he's clearing the deck and saying, well, let's get the debt limit and funding the government off our plate for the short term. But what he really did is he moved it only 3 months down the line when actually tax reform is going to be the hottest. When we're going to try to move tax reform through the House, it'll be debated, it'll be voted. About the time these issues are going to come up, he's actually empowered Democrats. He's given Democrats incredible leverage to effectively wreak havoc on tax reform. So I know everyone sits back and applauds him. You know, Democrats love that he's gone to Democrats for support. And there are some Republicans that no matter what the president will do, they'll support him. This was a bad deal. This was a foolish deal. He shot from the hip and he missed the target. And I think he thinks it's great now. But you guys all wait. When we're trying to do these big issues that we promised, this is going to come blow back right in our face, and it's going to be a big problem.
So are you going to need Democrat votes for the tax reform, or are you going to do the reconciliation where you only need 51 votes?
Well, we would love to get Democrat votes.
Right.
I would argue that the resist movement, the Never Trump movement is so strong, I think they're going to try to hold even Democrats who understand the need for tax reform. They're going to be afraid of their left-wing base, and it'll be hard to get them on board. But yes, we would love Democrats to come with us. I think this is an American issue. This is not a partisan issue. We all understand what's happening to our business.
The point is will you need Democrats come December, or can you do this with just Republicans? I'm just trying to understand how much leverage they really will have.
Listen, we're in a little bit of a problem because we don't have money from health care. We don't have money from the BAT tax, the border adjustment tax. So we're working out details on how do we get the revenue to actually lower rates. We can still do it on our own. But again, it's easier to do it with Democrats. So yes, it can still happen, but harder.
Yeah, I mean, Congressman, I mean, we keep talking about the House is doing fine. It's the Senate that we're having the issues. I mean, this was a blow to Mitch McConnell, and Donald Trump was telling him that. He was like, listen, time and time again, I've asked you to suspend the rules in the Senate to get our legislative agenda done, and it hasn't happened. I know you've complained about wanting the Senate to get things done. So, I mean, here he is just saying, listen, Mitch, Senate, if you guys aren't going to get something done, I'm going to do it myself and take it upon myself. And it hurts you and it hurts the House. But, I mean, can you blame the president for doing something like this?
Yes, I can, because I think it's short-sighted. So let's talk about the Senate for one moment. We've talked about, and the president has talked about blowing up the filibuster rule, right? And I agree with that. I've been promoting that even on your show. But what the Senate could actually do is they could actually just tweak their rules, and if we're going to do budget reconciliation, make sure it doesn't have to be revenue neutral. If it doesn't have to be revenue neutral, we don't have to look for all this revenue out there. We can just do massive tax reform, a whole overhaul of our tax system, but don't worry about the budget neutrality of it. And if they make that small change, we could blow the top off tax reform and actually get it done with only 51 votes. But the Senate is so entrenched in their rules. They care more about their rules than they do about the American people, and that's why we're having so many problems. And you're right, the House is getting its job done. The Senate can't get its act together. And I could just make one other point. Not only do we have a debt limit increase, we have an increase of the federal spending, but they also did a clean short-term extension of the flood insurance program. So here you have a program that's $25 billion in debt. We have millionaires building great, beautiful homes on the coast that the American people, poor people in my district, subsidize. We incentivize people to live in really dangerous areas. And then we have rescuers that have to go in and rescue them during storms and lose their lives. We have a market in healthcare that's not a market at all. It's only government. We're trying to open this up and let the private market play. and we can't get Donald Trump to play with us on any of these reforms. He's like, no, we're just going to do a straight
Yeah, but you could
reauthorization.
understand, Congressman, how frustrated everybody is. I mean, you may blame the Senate. Somebody else might blame the Freedom Caucus. At the end of the day, the average guy or gal out there is saying the Republicans cannot govern. It's been 8 months. We still haven't had real, victories in terms of, legislation for the American people, tax reform, health care. So, I mean,
but Maria, hold on a second. I'm on the Trump train the whole way. Healthcare was frustrating, and healthcare is hard. But we are at the point where we're about to get tax reform done. This is the time that this was going to happen. And you know what? When you're negotiating debt limit increases and government funding increases,
right,
those get to be very tenuous. Both sides don't sit in a room and really agree on that stuff. You have to play your cards out, and if you don't play the cards out, and we have time, we have weeks to do it. The president basically snapped his fingers and goes, I'm just going to cut a deal with Chuck. Right. And by the way, Chuck doesn't want to make America great again. Chuck's never going to be with you to reduce taxes and fix health care and reduce government regulation. Chuck will never be a good partner for you.
You guys better figure out how to get on the same page, Congressman.
Well,
you need to figure out how to get on the same page.
Maria, when you have a play call to make, and you have both sides agreeing to what the play is going to be, and all of a sudden Donald blows it up and says, I'm going to go a different direction, that's fine, but we got to stick with the plan. And he didn't do that.
We'll leave it there. We'll be watching, Congressman. I know it's frustrating for everybody. Sean Duffy joining us there.